you're not being punished. You're being prepared. You're not under judgment. You're under construction. And the sooner you understand that, the faster you'll stop fighting the process and start flowing with God's plan. Because right now, what looks like a breakdown is really a breakthrough being built in silence. You're walking through a refining fire and it hurts because you're being stretched into your next level. You're not losing, you're learning. You're not being delayed. You're being developed. God is not ignoring you. He's investing in you. Every powerful person, every overcomer, every giant in faith has gone through a season that looked like punishment, but was really preparation. It's the season where God hides you, molds you, and removes everything in you that can't survive your next level. That's why it feels lonely. That's why the doors that used to open are now locked. That's why the things that used to make sense don't anymore. God is shifting your identity. He's breaking your dependence on comfort so you can learn how to carry power. You asked him for increase, and he answered by sending pressure, because increase and pressure are partners. The weight you feel right now is the weight of growth. You see, most people pray for elevation, but don't want the excavation that comes first. You can't be elevated until the old foundations are dug up. God can't build the palace if he doesn't first tear down the shack. And that tearing down process, it feels like loss, but it's actually love. It's God saying, you've outgrown this season. You can't stay here anymore. The pain is proof that transformation is happening. It's like a seed buried in the dirt. It looks like it's been forgotten, but in the dark, it's breaking open. It's growing roots. It's preparing to rise. Stop confusing silence with absence. When God is quiet, he's working. When you can't trace him, you can trust him. He's doing more behind your back than you could ever do in front of people. You're being shaped for something you can't see yet. The disappointment you're feeling isn't punishment, it's alignment. God's removing distractions, closing wrong connections, and cleaning your path because he's preparing a platform that can handle your destiny. Don't let your emotions tell you lies. You are not cursed. You are not cursed. You are not forgotten. You are not being punished. You're in divine preparation. The delay you're fighting is the discipline of destiny. God's not late. He's deliberate. He's not denying you. He's designing you. You're being trained for a future you prayed for. Think about it. If he gave you everything you asked for when you wanted it, you wouldn't be ready to carry it. The blessing would break you. That's why he's building your character before he releases your calling. He's making sure your roots are deep enough to sustain the fruit that's coming. The pain is not pointless. It's productive. Every trial is teaching you endurance. Every heartbreak is expanding your capacity for compassion. Every failure is building resilience. You think it's punishment because it's uncomfortable, but God doesn't waste pain. He's teaching you to depend on him in ways you never have before. You're learning to pray differently. You're learning to trust differently. You're learning to walk by faith, not by sight. This is where warriors are made, in the fire, in the waiting, in the struggle that nobody sees. So don't shrink back. Stand firm in the pressure. This is the classroom of greatness. You're not behind. You're in training. You're not being set aside. You're being set apart. You're being purified for purpose. Every tear you've cried is watering the soil of your future harvest. Every no you've heard is clearing the path for the right yes. Every season of confusion is preparing you to recognize clarity when it comes. You may feel like you're walking through fire, but remember, the fire doesn't destroy gold, it defines it. You're being refined so that what's left is pure, unshakable, and ready. When this season ends, you won't look like what you've been through. You'll come out sharper, wiser, stronger, and unstoppable. You'll realize God wasn't trying to hurt you. He was helping you rise. But preparation demands obedience. Stop trying to escape the process. Stop asking God to remove the pressure and start asking him to reveal the purpose. Every single challenge is a clue. Every test has a treasure. The frustration, the waiting, the silence, it's all working in your favor. God's developing your patience, your discernment, your focus. He's teaching you to stand still when you want to run. To believe when you can't see, to worship when nothing makes sense. You are in a divine gym. Every weight you lift in this season is building spiritual muscle. You're becoming stronger, tougher, more anchored. You're learning how to command your atmosphere, how to speak to mountains, how to trust God's timing instead of your timeline. You're being equipped to lead, to impact, to influence. You're not being punished. You're being promoted through process. Don't rush what's refining you. Don't curse what's cleansing you. Don't fight the very pressure that's forming your power. God is preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. Every piece of your story, even the painful parts, is working together for a breakthrough that will not just bless you, it will shift your whole future. Your storm is not random. It's not chaos. It's not punishment. It's strategy. The storm you're in right now is not meant to destroy you. It's designed to develop you. God uses storms to separate the fake from the faithful, to strip away what's fragile and strengthen what's real. You're not in the middle of a mistake. You're in the middle of a master plan. The very thing that looks like it's tearing you apart is actually training you to carry what's coming next. The storm is not against you. It's working for you. Every time God is about to elevate someone, he allows a storm to test their stability, because before he gives you power, he must prove your foundation. Before he trusts you with influence, he tests your endurance. You can't build skyscraper faith on weak soil. You can't pray for overflow and expect no opposition. The storm is the classroom where giants are made. It's where you learn that faith isn't just a word, it's a weapon. Right now, you may be facing waves of disappointment, winds of delay, and thunder of uncertainty, but understand this, the storm is strategic. God is shaking loose everything that's not anchored in him. The things and people that were never meant to stay are being removed. The plans that were built on comfort instead of conviction are being exposed. The storm doesn't come to destroy what's real. It comes to reveal it. The storm is your audit. It shows you what's solid and what's not. When you pray for growth, God doesn't just hand you blessings. He sends you battles that build strength. When you ask for wisdom, he allows confusion so you'll learn to listen. When you ask for faith, he puts you in situations where you have to trust him with nothing but his word. That's how he trains you. The storm isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's the gym where your spirit gets stronger. It's the place where your dependence shifts from your own plan to his power. And here's what most people miss. The storm always shows up before the shift. Every new season starts with shaking. Every promotion is preceded by pressure. Before God gives you new territory, he tests your capacity to stand in uncertainty. The storm is the proof that change is on the horizon. It's the sign that something bigger is being built. You can't see it yet because it's forming beneath the surface. But just like thunder announces the coming rain, your storm is announcing the coming breakthrough. Don't mistake turbulence for trouble. You're not crashing, you're climbing. Every airplane shakes hardest when it's rising higher. The same applies to your life. When elevation begins, so does resistance. That's how you know you're moving in the right direction. God allows resistance to refine your focus. The storm strips you of distractions so you can finally see what matters. The things that were holding you back start falling off, and at first it feels like loss, but in reality, it's liberation. The storm also reveals who's really with you. When everything's easy, everybody smiles. But when the winds hit, masks fall. God uses storms to expose relationships built on convenience, not covenant. He's showing you who can pray with you, not just play with you. He's revealing who's real, who's ready, and who's only around for the calm weather. Don't get bitter about who leaves. Thank God for the revelation. Some people were blessings for a season, not a lifetime. You might be asking, why now? Why me? Because storms don't come to the weak. They come to the chosen. God doesn't send battles to people with no potential. He sends storms to those who can handle waves. If you weren't built for it, he wouldn't have allowed it. The fact that you're still standing is proof that the storm doesn't own you. You're mastering it. You're learning to speak peace in chaos, to stand in faith when fear screams, and to trust the process when nothing looks certain. That's power. That's preparation. The storm is also recalibrating your direction. Sometimes you are sailing the right boat, but toward the wrong destination. God will allow a storm to reroute you toward your purpose. You thought that business deal falling apart was punishment. It was protection. You thought that delay was denial. It was direction. He's not trying to keep you from success. He's steering you towards significance. You don't see it yet because the visibility in the storm is low, but when it clears, you'll realize every detour was divine. In the middle of it all, keep your faith anchored. When the waves get wild, don't panic, pivot. The storm isn't stronger than the promise. What God said about your future hasn't changed. You're just being conditioned to carry it with maturity. The same God who allowed the storm is the same one who will command it to stop. But he won't stop it until it's done its job. Until you've learned what you needed to learn, until your perspective shifts from comfort to calling. This is the kind of preparation most people run from, but if you'll stand firm, if you'll hold your ground and trust his process, you'll come out of this stronger, clearer, and more anointed than ever. The wind that was meant to break you will end up pushing you. The rain that was meant to drown you will water your next season. The storm you're in is not your end. It's your evolution. You're being upgraded in the middle of chaos. You're being prepared for visibility in private. God is using the storm to build in you what calm seasons never could. That closed door wasn't a mistake. It wasn't rejection. It was protection. What you thought you lost was never meant to carry you into your next season. God doesn't shut doors to punish you. He shuts them to protect your purpose. Sometimes you cry over what you think you missed, not realizing that God was blocking something that would have broken you. That opportunity you begged for, that relationship you fought to keep, that you were certain would work, it had to end because it couldn't handle where God is taking you. Closed doors aren't setbacks. They're safeguards. They're God's way of saying, I love you too much to let you settle for less. You see, we live in a world where everyone celebrates open doors. Everyone shouts when they get the job, the deal, the platform. But few people thank God for the doors that didn't open. Yet those are the doors that save you. Those are the doors that shape you. When God closes something, it's because he sees what's on the other side. He knows the trap you can't see, the timing that's not right. The people whose hearts aren't aligned with yours, you only see the present pain, but God sees the future protection. He knows that if he allowed everything you wanted, you'd lose everything you need. When a door closes, your first instinct is to force it open. You replay the rejection. You question your worth. You doubt your faith. But God never shuts a door without reason. Every now is direction. Every delay is redirection. You're not being denied. You're being rerouted. Closed doors are heaven's way of shifting your path toward divine alignment. When you lose something, it's because God is making room for something better. But you can't receive the new while your hands are gripping the old. Letting go is not loss. It's leadership. It's trusting that God's no is louder protection than your yes could ever be. Look back at your life for a moment. Every time you were heartbroken, every time something didn't work out, every time you thought it was over, didn't something better eventually appear? Didn't you grow? Didn't you learn? That's because God's pattern is consistent. He never subtracts without the intention to multiply. What he removes, he always replaces with something greater, even if it takes time. Closed doors are often the beginning of expansion, but the test is whether you'll trust him when you can't trace him. Sometimes God will close doors quietly without explanation. You won't get a warning, a reason, or a clear sign. It'll just stop working. You'll feel disconnected. The opportunities will dry up. The people will drift away. And that's when you have to decide, will you chase what's closing or will you trust what's coming? Because what's coming will require your focus, your faith, and your forward motion. God's trying to free you from attachments that are draining your destiny. He's cutting ties with people who can't go where you're going. That's not rejection. That's refinement. You're not being abandoned. You're being advanced. Closed doors also teach you how to hear God clearly. When everything goes silent, you start paying attention. You stop moving on impulse and start listening for instruction. God will use stillness to strengthen your sensitivity. He'll shut down every distraction so you can finally hear his direction. Sometimes you can't see the new door because you're still staring at the old one. But when you release your obsession with what's gone, your eyes open to what's next. There's purpose in every pause. When God closes one door, he doesn't leave you stranded. He's preparing the next step. He's aligning the right people, the right timing, the right environment. The problem is we often rush to replace what's lost. We want quick answers and instant validation, but God works through preparation, not pressure. He's not in a hurry to please you. He's positioning you. The longer the door stays closed, the more significant what's coming through the next one. You may be praying for God to reopen something he's already buried. That's why frustration lingers. You're asking him to bless what he's already blocked. You can't resurrect what he's already removed. When something ends, it's not your cue to beg. It's your cue to build. Build your faith, your focus, your discipline. The door closing means it's time to upgrade your mindset, strengthen your vision, and prepare for the next opportunity that actually matches your anointing. Because the wrong door would have drained your destiny, but the right one will deliver your purpose. Closed doors also reveal what you truly believe. Anyone can praise God when everything's open and easy, but can you worship him when he says no? Can you still trust him when he blocks the very thing you wanted most? That's where maturity is born, in the moments where your emotions scream unfair, but your faith whispers trust. Because if you can stay faithful through a closed door, you're proving you're ready for the next one. And understand this, sometimes God doesn't close the door because of what's on the other side, but because of what's inside of you. There are lessons that can only be learned in loss. There are levels of humility, discipline, and gratitude that only come through disappointment. God will use rejection to refine your motives. He'll use delays to detox your pride. The door didn't close to hurt you. It closed to heal you. It's forcing you to depend on him, to deepen your faith, to remember that your identity isn't tied to outcomes, but to obedience. When God closes one door, he's already working on another, but he won't open it until you're ready. He's protecting your future by restricting your access in the present. Every no you've faced, every opportunity that slipped away, every plan that fell apart, it's all part of a bigger blueprint that you can't see yet. You're not missing out. You're being moved into position. You're not behind. You're being built for something that can't be rushed. Closed doors are not endings. They're divine detours leading you straight into purpose. Stop asking why it's happening to you and start asking what it's making you. That shift in mindset changes everything. The moment you stop seeing yourself as a victim and start seeing yourself as a vessel, your pain begins to have purpose. Life isn't punishing you, it's preparing you. Every challenge, every delay, every disappointment is shaping something inside of you that comfort never could. The greatest people you've ever admired didn't get there by coasting. They got there by growing. Growth only happens when you decide to see pressure differently. The moment you change your question from why me to what now, the power shifts back into your hands. Most people stay stuck because they keep repeating the same story instead of rewriting it. They keep reliving the pain instead of learning from it. They talk about what they lost instead of who they're becoming. Growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from confrontation. You have to confront your excuses, your fears, your patterns, and your small thinking. You can't expect a breakthrough with a broken mindset. What you think about yourself determines what you'll tolerate. When you think you're being punished, you'll shrink back and wait for rescue. But when you realize you're being prepared, you'll rise up and take responsibility. God will allow situations that stretch you because stretching builds strength. That's what this season is doing. It's expanding your faith, increasing your capacity, and forcing you to trust beyond logic. You may not like the process, but you'll love what it produces. Every difficulty is an invitation to develop discipline. Every unanswered prayer is an opportunity to build patience. Every closed door is a test of perspective. When you stop focusing on what's happening to you and start asking what it's developing in you, everything changes. You stop complaining and start growing. You stop waiting and start working. You stop blaming and start building. Think about this. Diamonds are created under pressure and gold is refined by fire. Nothing valuable comes without process. The struggle is proof that transformation is happening. You can't skip steps and expect strength. The same is true spiritually. Before God promotes you, he has to prepare you. Before he releases blessing, he develops maturity. He's not just after your comfort. He's after your capacity. So when you face resistance, don't see it as rejection. It's refinement. You're being shaped to handle what's next. Your mindset is the steering wheel of your destiny. If you see pain as punishment, you'll retreat. If you see pain as preparation, you'll advance. The question is, what story are you telling yourself? Because your internal narrative determines your external experience. You can't rise higher than your thoughts. Every limitation starts in the mind. The enemy doesn't need to destroy your life if he can distort your perspective. That's why your mindset matters more than your circumstance. The same storm that sinks one person can strengthen another. It's all about how they see it. There's power in shifting your perspective. When you start to see challenges as chances, pain as purpose, and delay as development, you step into unstoppable momentum. You stop wasting energy fighting what's meant to form you. That's where faith becomes practical, not in church, not in theory, but in the trenches of everyday life, when you decide to believe that what's happening is making you better, not bitter. You can't control the storm, but you can control your stance. You can decide to stand tall in the middle of uncertainty and declare that everything is working for your good, even when it doesn't feel like it. Every time life tests you, it's asking one question: are you growing or are you giving up? Growth is painful because it requires shedding old versions of yourself. You can't carry your past mindset into your future mission. God will keep bringing you back to the same lessons until you learn them. That's not punishment. It's process. You're not being delayed. You're being developed. When you start asking, what's this teaching me? What's this building in me? You turn your storm into strategy. The obstacle becomes your opportunity. Mindset determines manifestation. You attract what you align with. If you keep seeing yourself as stuck, you'll stay stuck. If you start seeing yourself as being shaped, you'll start moving forward. Every giant you face is a mirror reflecting what's inside of you. The problem isn't there to stop you. It's there to show you how powerful you've become. The reason it feels harder now is because you're stronger than you were before. You're being upgraded internally before the external blessing shows up. When you ask, why me, you focus on the pain. When you ask, what's this making me, you focus on the purpose. One question drains you, the other develops you. The first keeps you trapped in fear. The second fuels you with faith. Perspective turns pain into progress. When you understand that, nothing can shake you. You stop reacting and start responding. You start thanking God for what didn't make sense, because deep down, you know he's teaching you endurance, humility, and faith under pressure. You can't control every event, but you can control your interpretation of it. That's where victory begins. The power to rise isn't in avoiding storms. It's in mastering your response to them. When you learn to think differently, you start living differently. The same situation that once broke you becomes the very thing that builds you. What felt like rejection becomes redirection. What looked like loss becomes launch. The test that once terrified you becomes the training that strengthens you. You're not being punished. You're being positioned. Every challenge is chiseling away at the parts of you that can't stay. Every season of struggle is pulling out the potential you didn't know you had. The question isn't, why is this happening? The real question is, who am I becoming because of this? Because the version of you that's emerging out of this season will be unshakable, unstoppable, and unbreakable. Before God gives you reward, he always sends refinement. Before he hands you the promise, he molds your character to carry it. everyone prays for blessings, but few are willing to be broken for them. You can't receive destiny without discipline. You can't hold influence without integrity. You can't walk in promotion without preparation. Refinement isn't punishment, it's process. It's God shaping, sanding, stretching, and strengthening you until you can hold the weight of what's coming. He doesn't promote the untested because untested power is unstable. The pressure you're under right now is proof that you're being trusted with something greater. Refinement is never comfortable because it exposes everything weak within you. It brings your fears to the surface, your pride to the light, and your faith to the fire. God doesn't refine you to humiliate you. He refines you to purify you. He's burning away what doesn't belong, what can't survive the next level, what would sabotage your blessing if it stayed. Every hardship, every test, every dry season, it's all part of the furnace that forms strength. You can't carry the weight of glory without first walking through the heat of growth. When you pray for more, God doesn't give you comfort. He gives you challenge. You want wisdom. He gives you confusion that forces you to listen. You want patience. He gives you delay that stretches your emotions. You want strength. He gives you resistance that tests your limits. That's refinement. It's not God ignoring your prayers. It's Him answering them differently. He's not withholding what you want. He's preparing you to handle it without breaking. The wilderness always comes before the promised land because it's in the wilderness that faith becomes unshakable. You have to understand refinement is not a quick process. It's a divine progression. You can't microwave maturity. You can't rush character growth. It takes friction, time, and trust. When you're being refined, you'll often feel hidden, overlooked, or even forgotten, but that's because God does His best work in private. Diamonds are formed underground, gold is purified in fire, and roots grow in the dark. The season that feels silent is often the season where you're being prepared the most. You're not being buried, you're being built. The fire you're walking through is not meant to consume you. It's meant to clarify you. It's revealing what's real and removing what's not. It's separating confidence from arrogance, faith from feelings, obedience from convenience. God can't bless confusion, so He burns away anything that keeps you from walking in clarity. And while that process hurts, it's necessary because if you don't let Him refine you in private, you'll collapse in public. He's protecting your destiny by correcting your direction. Every great leader, every strong believer, every person who carries lasting impact has walked through refinement. You can't skip it. You can't pray it away. You can't fast track it. The only way through is through. You've got to embrace the season that's shaping you instead of running from it. The faster you surrender, the sooner you'll see purpose in the pressure, because refinement isn't just about what God is doing around you. It's about what He's doing in you. There's a version of you that can't enter your next level. That's why certain things are falling apart right now. God's not punishing you. He's pruning you. He's cutting back what's excessive, unnecessary, and temporary so that what's essential can grow stronger. You can't take your old habits into your new harvest. You can't carry your old thinking into your new territory. Refinement strips away the familiar so you can become the future. It's not loss. It's preparation for longevity. You might be in a season where nothing feels stable. Doors are closing. People are leaving. Plans are failing. That's the fire doing its job. God's using instability to build identity. He's taking away everything you leaned on so you'll finally stand on Him. Refinement breaks dependency on the temporary so you can depend fully on the eternal. It's how He teaches you to trust, to listen, to discern, and to obey when it doesn't make sense. The fire is training your focus. And here's the truth most people miss. The greater the call, the deeper the cut, the more significant your assignment, the more intense your refining. The crown always comes after the cross. You can't lead nations if you can't handle seasons. You can't influence others if you haven't first conquered yourself. The process you're in right now is sculpting you into someone unshakable. You're being made into a vessel that can handle blessing without pride and withstand pressure without breaking. Refinement isn't just about endurance, it's about elevation. Every time you survive a test, you level up in wisdom. Every time you forgive instead of retaliate, you rise in grace. Every time you stay faithful when you could quit, your capacity increases. That's how spiritual promotion works. It's not given, it's earned through resilience. God's refining you because he sees something in you that the world hasn't seen yet. He's polishing your potential until it shines through pain. So when life gets harder, don't assume something's wrong. It's proof something's right. You're in the forge of greatness. Every trial is teaching you to handle triumph. Every setback is preparing you for stability. You're learning to walk with power, to think with clarity, and to move with purpose. Refinement is the invisible classroom of destiny. You can't buy it, you can't fake it, and you can't avoid it. It's where you're being built from ordinary to unstoppable, from uncertain to unbreakable, from called to chosen. You're not being left behind. You're being positioned for breakthrough. The silence, the waiting, the slow seasons, they're not proof that God forgot you. They're proof that he's aligning everything perfectly. You think nothing's moving, but behind the scenes, everything is shifting in your favor. God's not late. He's strategic. Timing is his weapon. He doesn't rush destiny because premature blessings can destroy prepared people. You're not waiting for God. He's waiting for you to grow into the version of yourself that can sustain what you've been praying for. Positioning often feels like punishment because it looks like isolation. People drift away, doors stop opening, opportunities dry up. You look around and it feels like everyone else is advancing while you're stuck. But God hides what he's developing. When he's positioning you, he pulls you away from distractions. He removes the noise, cuts off unnecessary attachments, and confines you so he can refine you. It's the same pattern he used with Joseph, David, and Moses. Before the spotlight, there's always solitude. Before the platform, there's always pruning. You're not being excluded, you're being equipped. Positioning is a quiet season because God's setting the stage for something that demands precision. He's aligning resources, hearts, and timing so that when the door opens, everything flows seamlessly. What looks like delay is actually divine order. He's synchronizing your life with heaven's rhythm. You're not just being moved forward, you're being moved right. He's ensuring you're in the exact place where your purpose, potential, and power converge. You think you're waiting on opportunity, but opportunity is waiting for obedience. Every time you think you're losing, you're actually being led. The detours, disappointments, and disruptions, they're all divine GPS reroutes. God sees the traps ahead, so he redirects you even when you don't understand it. You were never meant to take the shortcut. You were meant to take the scenic route because that's where the growth happens. The scenic route builds your faith, teaches your patience, and strengthens your focus. It's where you learn that being positioned is better than being promoted too soon. Sometimes positioning requires separation. God can't take you higher while you're still anchored to people who don't believe in the same future. You can't carry everyone into your calling. Some people are connected to your history, not your destiny. He's not rejecting them. He's protecting you. When people walk away, it's not subtraction, it's strategy. He's freeing your circle so your environment matches your assignment. You can't pour out in your next season if you're still surrounded by voices that doubt what God said about you. You've been feeling pressure because positioning always comes with tension. When God's about to elevate you, he stretches your capacity. You're being pulled between what was and what's next. It feels uncomfortable because you're growing faster than your circumstances. You're being upgraded internally before the external shift happens. That's why this season feels confusing. It's transformation in motion. You're being molded to fit a space you haven't stepped into yet. When God positions you, he's not just preparing the environment around you. He's preparing the mindset within you. You can't enter breakthrough with a defeated mentality. You can't carry abundance with a scarcity mindset. So he allows pressure to renew your perspective. He puts you in situations that require faith, boldness, and obedience so that when the opportunity arrives, you don't shrink back. you step forward. This season is building confidence in your calling. You're learning to trust your instincts, to follow his voice, and to move without validation. You may feel unseen right now, but hidden seasons are where God builds unshakable people. He's training you to be strong in silence, to be faithful without applause, to believe without evidence. This kind of positioning produces depth. You're learning to rely on God, not on recognition. You're being shaped to stand tall even when nobody's clapping. Because when the moment comes, you won't crumble under pressure. You'll carry it with grace. Positioning also demands pruning. God cuts off good things to make room for great ones. He'll take away what's familiar to make space for what's fruitful. You'll lose comfort but gain clarity. You'll lose options but gain obedience. Every time something exits your life, it's making room for something essential. Don't mourn the pruning, magnify the purpose. What's leaving is not your loss, it's your launch. The process of positioning tests your patience. Waiting feels like weakness, but in God's kingdom, waiting is warfare. Every day you choose to believe in silence, you're strengthening your spiritual endurance. The waiting room is where faith graduates from theory to reality. It's where you stop relying on feelings and start walking by faith. You're learning that just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't happen. It just means it's not ready. And here's the truth. When you're positioned right, you won't have to chase. The blessing will find you. You won't have to knock on every door. The right one will swing open. You won't have to prove your worth. Your preparation will speak for itself. God's not setting you up for small success. He's aligning you for supernatural breakthrough. That's why it's taking time, because this isn't something ordinary. You're not just being prepared for a blessing. You're being prepared to become the blessing. This positioning season is not punishment. It's precision. Every delay is direction. Every pause is protection. Every step backward is setting up momentum for the leap forward. God is not just changing your situation. He's changing you. He's building endurance, wisdom, and faith inside you so that when your breakthrough arrives, you don't just experience it, you sustain it.